You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
Welcome, everybody, to the Border War podcast on the Kansas City Sports Network, presented by 360 Vodka. My name is Jarrett Sutton. I'm joined, as always, by Jeff Hawkins. And, Jeff, here we are, man. It's Border War time.
There's
excitement
baby.
in the air here in Kansas City. It's been a great week, man. I'm looking forward to the match. It's been great seeing, some Mizzou fans repping their gear and Kansas fans in KC. Looking forward to this matchup on Saturday and seeing, where these teams lie and hopefully a better matchup we get this year than we got last year.
Oh, yeah. The time is here. It's funny, 4 or 5 weeks ago when we started this podcast, we were already talking about this. And
That's
here,
right.
Here we are. I work with a couple coworkers that they're excited for this, that are Missouri fans. So they are definitely excited for this and definitely very pumped up about how the season is going. And they've been following the season. So it's been cool to hear them talk about the excitement about them showing their pride for the Tigers and the basketball program. So this is going to be a fun game.
Before we dive into the matchup, because there's a lot to talk about with both teams, particularly this year, but
yeah,
I feel like it's a good time. Last year when we talked about this rivalry, it was talking about stories from Allen Fieldhouse and us going on the road to Kansas in my 4 years, and a lot of good games. Most notably the 2012 game. 2012 just kind of is on a pedestal in terms of just how the rivalry ended. And another great one that was in Mizzou Arena in 2012. That was electric. A good performance from a couple Kansas City guys in that game as well. With Connor Teahan was in that game. Marcus Denman was in that game. Steve Moore, Mike Dixon, Tyrell. I mean, there was a lot of Kansas City blood there. So this rivalry, not to take away from Columbia or Lawrence, but it feels like Kansas City. It's a hodgepodge of Mizzou and Kansas fans, which makes it a lot of fun. But what's we talked a little bit about just kind of our memories of let's talk about playing in Columbia, right? And I have some unbelievable memories of just both my freshman year with the court storm and just being totally overlooked. And I think there's some similarities between Dennis Gates and Mike Anderson's programs in terms of playing fast.
Yeah.
Kind of defense to offense, help a little bit faster pace. And
so what's it like though? What's it like? Like day before the game, KU's coming in. What's it like? Like, what's the students like? Like, you in class? Are they like, hey, what's up, man? You better pound their heads in. Like, what's it like? Are the analysts like, hey, what's up? Hey, don't worry, we're your six man. We got you. Like, what's up? What's it like on campus the day before, and then talked about the day of?
It's like so first of all, it's like weeks leading up too, right? Like you got it's like, hey, hold on, let's not talk about Kansas. We still have 3 games and you're trying not to think about it. That's when it actually starts. And then the night before it's wild. I really think the story of 2012 is the one that jumps out because we had college game day coming the next day, and we had a practice that was like a 2:30 practice. So it was a Saturday game. It was Friday afternoon, normal practice time for us. And I'm leaving. There's a loading dock area outside of Mizzou Arena, and it's kind of a windy road to get back to like a main road. I get to the main road, and I'm like, hold on a second. Is there a game tonight? Is there a concert tonight? Like, why are all these people everywhere? I mean, there's tents everywhere. There's like food trucks everywhere. There's just people. I'm like, hold on. How am I going to get home? Like, how do I get out of here? And it was wild. I mean, everybody. It was the buildup, and obviously in 2012, it was where both teams were. It was 2 elite teams in college basketball that just happened to be rivals. It just happened to be the last go round in Columbia. And I mean, to think about it too, Jeff, like the pressure too, like that was kind of on your shoulders of like, really need to both these teams are really good. We really need to win at home. Like, we need to win the one at home. You heard it all the time. I mean, talk about going to class. Like, it was just, that's all everybody wanted to talk about was like, oh my God, Kansas is coming. Are you guys ready? And then, how students are, it's like, so how much are you guys going to win by? And they just want smack talk.
Like, how much you going to win by? Let me go ahead and place my bets.
Right, exactly. Like, no, I'm not doing none of that. But no, I mean, day leading up is just, it's the buildup really. And then game day, my senior year was just wild. And we were all there for that. And it led into just an all day event. And almost by the end of the game, it's emotionally draining. The adrenaline is so high that like it's so it's just different. Unlike anything you could, it's more. I mean, like adrenaline for an NCAA tournament game is very high, right? Like it's win or go home. Like it's a different. And Kansas, it was like totally different than that, right? It's just it's such a different feeling. But Mizzou Arena, my last year was just pulsating with just the volume, and there was like I'll never forget, there were pyrotechnics where it was like they were doing fireworks in first string. We had never done that. And it was a cloud of smoke. They had to open the back of the loading dock because there was so much smoke in the arena. And you can see it if you go back and replay the game. Like the first 5 minutes, it feels like we're playing in a cloud. I mean, it's
like the 70s back in the day in the NBA when you see like them smoking in the crowd.
Exactly.
Like,
it was like, wait, hold on, people just smoking cigarettes on the sunny floor here. But man, it was like that those memories were great. And then 08-09 was, like I said, like we were in a program that was really being talked about, and we had like a lot of good wins. We had a good record, and it was like Kansas top 20 matchup with Cole Aldridge and Sharon, and Kansas had just won a national championship. It was the year after, and everybody didn't really want to give us the like, yeah, you're legit if we didn't beat Kansas, and that's just kind of how it felt. I don't know if that was actually really what it was, but that's the pressure we kind of put on ourselves. And the court storm, to be a part of that was great. I mean, for us, it was the time where we felt like our program was kind of making a turn. So,
so what happened after that court storm? Like, what was that? What was that night like?
The night was crazy. The night was a little crazy. We got a little. The night didn't end.
Did you guys have practice the next day?
We had a day off. We did have a day off. Coach A was recruiting. So we were like, okay. We got a day off. We earned that. But 2012, like we won that game. It was a Saturday. We actually had a big Monday game. So it was like we Saturday night was wild, but we had a travel day on Sunday. So it was a little different. And then the turnaround, the letdown factor was kind of, we went to Oklahoma and we almost lost. And Oklahoma wasn't all that good that year, and they were just okay, but it was life in the Big 12, and we were able to sneak away with a win. But it was like a letdown vibe of just 48 hours removed from one of the biggest games in the program's history.
It's a lot of emotions into that.
A lot of emotion, man. Oh God, and the preparation and everything you put on your shoulders for sure. So, some great memories. What about you? I mean, what about you in just terms of like you played in Hearns for 3 and Mizzou Arena for 1, and we were talking. My first experience of Hearns was a Mizzou Kansas game, and it ended up being the Aaron Miles pass into the rim that you were a part of. And I mean, Hearns used to. Speaking of loud, Hearns was loud. So
Hearns was loud.
What's your experience of life on the road as a Jayhawk in Columbia?
That was a game we always look forward to for so many reasons. Again, every time we travel, we get to go to a steakhouse sometimes, or we'd go to the Royal Stadium and we'd eat lunch. So we get to run the bases, see a couple of the locker rooms, and then we head to Missouri. So that was like okay, we're going to Missouri. And then everything's happy after. And then when we're starting to get into town, like it just almost like you could just feel something different happen. It's just like, okay. I mean, you're still even walking into the hotel, like they're kind of looking at you like, why are you here? We're like, we got a game, actually. That's why we're here. But they're looking at us like, who told you to come? So, I mean, you feel it from everybody about the rivalry, about the rival. But speaking on hotels, obviously we were at the hotel trying to get some snoozy sleep. I think our second year under Coach Williams, and 2 a.m. we hear that beep, that fire alarm go off. And we're up 2 a.m. in the morning, having to walk outside in the cold, grabbing our coats, and we got to wait for the fire department to make sure it's clear to go back into the hotel while we look to the left and see the antlers. So I'm pretty sure they didn't have a room in there.
Talk about up to no good, man. Talk about up to no good, man. Casual 2 a.m. stroll past the local hotel. Unbelievable. That's so good. We transitioned to just, you were talking about, understanding what this rivalry means, and we know what it means. We knew what it meant when we got to campus, both
And
schools,
still know what
right?
it means.
And still know what it means. And when you think about just this group of guys, both teams, Grady Dick from Wichita probably knows what this rivalry is about. DeJuan Harris, Isaiah Mosley from Columbia know what this rivalry is about. Aiden Shaw from Kansas City, his family members went to Mizzou, understands probably what this rivalry is about, but they've never been in it. And that's the difference here is they've never been in it and they're going to feel it. Now, DeJuan and was in it last year. So that was his first, but this is so different for him. It's a homecoming for him back in Columbia for a school that didn't recruit him. And I think that storyline, Isaiah Mosley back in Columbia, there's all these storylines. And I feel like it's very important for the coaches and Bill Self, who's been in the rivalry, who knows it, motivating and getting your guys ready to play, making sure they're composed and ready to go, but understanding it's going to be different in terms of the environment they're walking into. Coach Gates has had Norm Stewart back to talk to the team a few times. I think it's important that you're a coach yourself. I think it's a very important time for coaches to really understand how to motivate and how to get their team ready to go.
Yeah, and I think what better not way to do it in a rivalry game. And again, we did talk about the fact that some of these guys don't understand the rivalry part of this game. But there's a select few that do. And, when you have coaches that can dig into the history and bring out some old video or some old stories about these rivalry, it helps, giving those stories to those players kind of embeds those stories into those players and they start to believe them because they know they're coming from a place of where they can trust it. And so, I mean, I think it's the coaches are going to do a good job of making sure they know the rivalry, and some of the players that have been in it, I think they're going to do a good job of talking about it because one of the things, I knew about the rivalry, but I didn't know about playing in the rivalry until I got there. And when I got there at KU, I had old heads like Nick Bradford, Kirk Heinrich, who was older. You hear them talking about, you just sitting in the locker room and you hear them talking about the rivalry or some piece of the game, like, man, I got elbowed in the face. And then, you see another player getting mad. I mean, but you start hearing them talk about the rivalry and it starts to come into you. So I think over the course of the years, it's going to continue to just get deeper and deeper and deeper.
Absolutely. You talked too about, these teams and both teams are different than last year. Kansas is coming off a national championship, and it's funny, I got asked earlier today about just the similarities between the 08-09 Mizzou team that was a very fast-paced team. Dennis Gates, Mike Anderson, kind of that style of play of playing fast and shoot valuing three-point shooting and understanding defense and steals and transition game and all those things. And then you turn around and think, man, Kansas won a national championship a year ago. A lot of similarities here. And I think the big piece of this game for me is going to come down to Jalen Wilson is the best player on the floor for both teams. He's averaging 21 a night. He's playing at an All-American level, consistent, just doing everything that you would hope he would do. And he's showing more playmaking and he's playing consistent. Grady Dick, for a freshman, one of the best shooters in college basketball, has a pure stroke, quick release, 45% three-point shooter, can really fill it up. Kevin McCullough, a winner from a great program from Texas Tech, comes to Kansas, has great leadership traits, great defender, versatile. Yeah. And then DeJuan Harris, who I think runs the ship, who makes so many plays happen. Those four guys alone can really control any game, I think. DeJuan's an elite point guard that I don't think gets talked about enough. In this game against Missouri, what I'm fascinated about is those guys can carry Kansas, and I have no problem. I think it comes down to depth and the bench. Yeah. And can Missouri play to the level that they've been playing at? They've had a great start to the year, being 9-0. They're averaging 93 points a game. They're shooting 35% from three. They have 14 steals a game. They're over 20 assists per game. Yeah. Different bear in Kansas in terms of what they're going to face. Championship pedigree team, great defensive team, a team that has unbelievable toughness, has the best coach in college basketball, and Bill Self, who I think speaks for himself in terms of what he's developed, and the championships speak for themselves. But he's back. This team, to me, is the biggest test Mizzou's going to face. And how does Mizzou respond in their own building in that environment with a bunch of newcomers? How do they match Kansas in terms of those 4 guys that I think could take over a game?
Yeah, that's that's going to be interesting. But Missouri just needs to play. In my opinion, they just got to play. They got to do what they've been doing that helped them get 9-0. It doesn't matter who's standing in front of you. You got to always stick to your core principles. And I think for the Jayhawks, when we talk about the bench, and it's no high. Missouri does a good job with, rotating 9 guys in their depth, and not only with the 9 guys that they're rotating, those guys are producing on the offensive end as well, too. So it's going to be a little bit, Coach Self and the Jayhawks, they're still trying to figure out, some of their bench players and their roles. And, they're still trying to, find that role within their bench. They have their core guys, that are going to play their core minutes, but they're trying to find that nice role within that bench that they can rely on. They still got some young guys that they're trying to develop at this time. So that's going to be I think that's going to be kind of a spot where it's going to be kind of any grabs. If KU can get bench production, I think it's going to put more pressure on Missouri. But if Missouri can continue if they can even keep their core guys to getting under their average and putting more pressure on the bench, it's going to force it could force KU to do some things that to have to dig deep into that hat of trick bags. So I think it's going to be a very competitive game. Missouri's playing well, balanced scoring. They're shooting the ball much better from 3. They're getting after it on the defensive end. They're deep. So they just got to, if I'm Missouri, I'm just going to continue to coach and do what I've been doing for this streak of winning 9 games in a row.
I go back to the Wichita State game for Mizzou too, where they had 6 guys play over 25 minutes. Kobe Brown, Aiden Shaw, Isaiah Mosley, not one of those 6. And I think in this game, look, it's great when you see, Demoy Hodge, who I think is a big part of this team. Clearly, he gives me a lot of Cassius Robertson vibes and can really shoot. I mean, he's a huge piece of this team. But end of the day, in these type of matchups, when you're talking Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, the teams that Mizzou's going to face 2 down the road.
Yeah.
To me, Kobe Brown, Isaiah Mosley, and I think Aiden Shaw have to really drive the ship for Mizzou. Like we just talked about that with the Kansas guys. I think those guys for Mizzou, and like Demoy, I think Noah Carter could be a big piece in this game if he can shoot the ball like he's capable of. He's shooting 36% from 3. You go down the list of guys that can really shoot it. Nick Honor shooting 44% from 3. Demoy's 41. Kobe's around 37, but he's not had, Wichita State game he struggled. So Simo played better and got a little bit more confidence there. So there's a lot of unknowns still with this Mizzou team. I find interesting. With Kansas, you kind of know what they are, and they're still developing that bench, like you touch on. But for Mizzou, they just haven't had a game. They've had halves where they've had everybody together and everybody's rolling and everybody knows the rules, and Isaiah's coming off the bench playing the way Isaiah Mosley's capable of playing. But we haven't really seen that consistently for 40 minutes. Yeah. That's something I'm really going to look at in this game, especially if Isaiah is going to come off the bench. What are his minutes? He played 6 in the SEMO game their last time out. I think he's got to be on the floor, and I think he's got to show his impact in this game.
Well, he does. And, speaking of Missouri, I mean, the way I see it, they have nothing to lose right now. And, with the way they've been playing and with the new coach, new supporting cast, our new players within the supporting cast of guys that have been back. So it's a whole new look. And again, it is the unknown. It is kind of the unknown. But we've seen what Missouri has done the last 9 games and what they're capable of. This is a good test for them. Mm-hmm. And regardless, like I said, to me, it's a win-win situation no matter what, because again, they're getting to play a top 10 team. And when you start looking deeper into their season, who they're going to be faced, the Kentuckys, the Arkansas, the Illinois, I mean, this is going to get them, this is going to be a game where they definitely can grow from and get better from, regardless of the outcome of the game. So again, if I'm Missouri, I'm just coming in this game. I'm going to try to be as loose as I can, but as focused as I can.
I think it's a great point you bring up, because I think for Mizzou fans, they have to understand. We understand our fan bases, right, and how they operate. Obviously, Mizzou fans want to beat Kansas and the history of the rivalry. And I mean, if they are to pull off a win on Saturday, it's a huge moment for Dennis Gates.
Yeah.
If they lose this game, I'm gonna be okay if they're competitive and they have, they show that they are, ready to play some bigger competition. Is the way I would say it. I'm not. I think my expectation is like, obviously they want to win the game. That's what it's all about. But I think this, to your point, it's just a huge test for them. It's a great opportunity for them to see where they're at, because I don't think they know if this is Wichita State was a huge moment. It was a huge win. But look, Kansas is a significant different team in terms of who they're going to face, and the talent level that Kansas has is just a different bear. And this is this is the champs. So that's what I think.
It's also I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, Jay. It's also a good chance for them. It's also a good chance for them too. They won't play until they play UFC a week from the KU game, and then they'll start hopping into that. So again, this is a game too where, win or lose, they can make the necessary adjustments to start getting ready for this crazy stretch that's about to start happening, once they hit the 22nd of December, when they start playing some really good teams, and it's just going to keep going from there. So again, like, if I'm Missouri, dude, I'm trying to be loose as I can, but focused on what the game plan is for my coaches, so I can try to carry that out. Because I mean, when you're coaches, they come up with pretty good strategies to win the game. All coaches do. It's up to the players to accept that information and carry it out. So if they can do that, I think it's going to be a very, very competitive game that they're going to be happy regardless of the outcome.
I think when you look at Nick Honor, Noah Carter, Demoy Hodge, Sean East, Golston, Gomillion, the Diarra, like they got these newcomers that it's going to be a different. I kind of like the thought of them coming into this game knowing they're kind of green. It's just they want that environment. I think they'll look at it as like they get an opportunity to play Kansas, and
at home too. At home,
and these guys are coming from JUCOs. They're coming from the Valley. They're coming from programs where they haven't had this opportunity. And I think that's something that you can't overlook either. These guys, some of these guys are older too. I mean, Nick Honor played in the ACC, and he's got that level of experience. And so that to me is another big piece of this. Is just I'm really curious how they come out and respond, because look, Kansas is a team with DeJuan Harris. They close games. They know how to win games. They can win ugly. They can just dominate. They can win in a variety of ways. And you can learn a lot about yourself when you play a program like that. That's a championship caliber program. So it's a fun one, Joe. I love this rivalry. As we've touched on so many times, I'm just glad it's back. We know basketball so well. We hear all about other schools and other rivalries. And it's all great. But I have the pride of the rivalry. I think just being able to play in that. Say you played in that. Is a really.
Hey,
fun,
we're blessed, man. We're blessed. We got
no question. No question. Absolutely. It's a great rivalry. It's just the second year it's back. First time back in Columbia. So Saturday, gonna be a fun one. Where are you watching, by the way? I'm just curious. Where are you watching?
Yeah, I'll be doing some pregame, postgame show for ESPN Plus. So I'll be in an empty field house with maybe a couple janitors walking by doing some stuff, but it'll be very empty in there.
No fire alarms getting pulled, so that's
no
good.
Fire alarms. No.
That's good. So
hey, they'll be at the hotel probably.
Exactly.
Tomorrow.
Antlers are gonna be lined up on Stadium Boulevard, just waiting to what hotel, or just calling every hotel. God, unbelievable. I wish I could be at Missouri Arena. I got some former guys that are gonna be back. I won't be able to make it, but I'll be watching. It's gonna be a fun one. We'll break it all down next week. Jeff, always good to chat with you. Always appreciate your insight. And we'll talk next week.
Hey, see you guys.